Military Mom Collective. I'm glad you could join us for another installment of highlighting female veterans who are still serving our community. Today, I have a really exciting interview for you. Today, I am interviewing Sylvia Biggett, who is an Army veteran, and I'm going to read her bio. She is an Army veteran, a basketball official trainer, women's referee coach, mentor, counselor, and owner of SMB Enterprise Officials. Sylvia's superpower is transforming people from a fan, parent, player, or coach into a solid, well rounded basketball referee. So I'm so excited to have Sylvia with me today. How are you doing, Sylvia?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, so you have this amazing bio that I really don't know many other people on the entire planet have. I mean, you are a female military veteran. You are a female in sports, which is just a very small minority as it is. So I'm so excited to hear your story today.
Thank you. Um, well, we start from the very beginning.
Yeah, tell me,
Okay.
what led you to join the army and,
Ah,
a little bit of experience about your army.
well, born and raised in New York City. So I was born in the Bronx of New York, and there's a lot of opportunities there. But I was at the house, and I wanted to grow and be on my own. And I got a basketball scholarship at Queensborough Community College, a partial scholarship. And when I was there, I still couldn't feel my full potential. So I felt, okay, you know what? A recruiter came to my high school and talked about the Army. I knew education was important. So I said, well, what can the Army offer me? And they said, well, we give you a career and an education. Bing. So one thing about being when you first start out, if you're a college person, you understand you're always broke. And so I didn't like that feeling of being broke. So I said, okay, let me go in the military. So I joined the military, and at 18, so I turned 18, I joined the military, and that's where my career and exposure to the world started. I started working at Fort Dix, New Jersey, where I got hired into, and I worked there, and then I went to basic training, and then the Fort Belvoir, Virginia is where I did my AIT, and became a generator mechanic. That's also something unusual for females. We actually fixed engines and things of that nature. I served 22 years as a military, and I traveled from Germany to Korea. When I was leaving uh, Germany, I found out that they had opportunity for females to be drill sergeants. So I was excited about that. So I put my resume in, and saying, no, I got selected to be a drill sergeant. I spent 3 years active duty drill sergeant, 2 years on the trail, and 1 year at the actual drill sergeant academy, where I taught people how to become soldiers. Then I grew up to be teaching NCOs, was non-commissioned officers, how to be drill sergeants. So I did that for a year, and then my term of active duty drill sergeant ended, and then I went to Korea, and that's when the war started, and I got stuck over there for 15 months. Um, in Korea, it was a good experience because we wasn't allowed to have vehicles; you had to walk everywhere, and that's why I grew up as being a non-commissioned officer as an NCO. Um, I really enjoyed my time as a soldier because it gave me discipline. My formidable years of being an adult was all in the military from 18 to 35. So that's mostly how my mindset is, how I think, how I process things, and how I perform my duties every day. So after being military until 1999, I got out because they had the SSB. I don't know if people know about that. They had a bonus for us to get out. So I got out as a E7, and Uncle Sam blessed me with an opportunity to go to college. And so I went to Federal State University, and I got my BS in computer science. Because of the discipline of the military, it allowed me to excel in school. You know, civilians, not to be funny, but civilians don't have the same restrictions as the military, so it's easy to stay focused and excel. So because of my GPA, I was allowed to go to a recruitment center of Fortune 500 companies. And at that location, I got picked up, recruited to work for ExxonMobil Corporation. And that's how I got sent to Texas, Houston, Texas. And I've been there ever since 1999. and I worked for ExxonMobil for 7 years, and had an epiphany one night, working on a change night on a computer, and I was charging the customers $102 an hour, and I wasn't getting paid that. I was like, that's unusual. So I was not getting paid that. So I went ahead and uh, asked ExxonMobil to to let me go, 2 week notice, and I went ahead and started my own company, and that's how I started. The first business was SMB Enterprise Computers. I've been officiating since 1986 in Germany. I was recruited on the basketball court. I was playing, and I was playing with some men. And because I was keeping up with the men playing, they said, "Could you want to be a referee?" I said, "Sure." And so I helped them out, and I got my first paycheck 2 days later. And I didn't even know that we got paid for it. I was doing it because it's fun. And so I went down and holler at people. I can do that. And as a result, I've been refereeing since then, since '86. Um, I enjoy it mostly now because it's giving back to the community. I'm no longer trying to excel the ladder to become to be an NCAA referee or professional referee myself, but I aspire to help others do that. So I teach brand new people that want to referee and start refereeing, and I give them a strong foundation so that they can be successful to do whatever they want. If they want to be at the high school level and stay here and help the community. If they want to excel to NCAA and call it the college level, or even higher to the NBA level. We have a platform based up for everybody to move up at any way they want to, at any pace they want to, based on their lifestyle at the time. I personally like the community level, which is the high school level. It gives me a chance to give back to my community. And that's like helping children with team sports and camaraderie and having relationships and building how to work with others. That's what most of team sports do. Helps you communicate and understand how you're a small part of a bigger pie. And that's one thing I think a lot of people in society forget, that we're just one part of a big picture. And team sports help develop that skill set and thought process. And as referees, we give um, teams and organizations the opportunity to compete, for fun and enjoy it. Because at this level, it's not that competitive. You have to worry about making NBA contracts and things of that nature. You just socializing and having fun. So that's pretty much what I do right now. I enjoy doing it. It's my main thing. I still have my computer business and my clothing line, and other businesses that I started. But my main focus right now is SMB Enterprise Training Academy. Is where I help referees do better. Thank you.
That's awesome. I love that. And are you still a professor too? I saw that on LinkedIn that you also teach
Yes, yes.
too.
I teach at Lone Star College. If this goes to Lone Star, they might be upset I didn't mention them. Yes, I'm also a professor at Lone Star College. I teach Cisco certifications. Once
Mhm.
again, I like my spirit. Lord put in my spirit. I'm very religious also about helping others. And even in Cisco Lone Star, we're helping high school students as well as college people that graduate from college to develop a skill set networking. I first started out as computer science as a uh, introduction to computers course, and then I graduated to the Cisco CCNA certification course. That's what I teach now, and they're developing a program that high school students can graduate from high school with the associate's degree as well as a CCNA certification, which is unbelievable. The opportunities are
Wow.
happening. That's what I said. I said, wow. I was like, I was like, so, and that's in Lone Star College and the Aldine ISD program and Spring ISD program, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
off the chain. But right now we're struggling with COVID, trying to get people though. But once we get COVID, and they already
Yeah.
got the curriculum in line, and that's gonna be unforgivable. You can imagine a child leaving high school at the age of 17, not only with their associate's degree, but their certification in networking, which their starting figures, the starting salary is going to be at 45,000 with their certification at the age of
Hmm.
17. I'm sitting going, mind blowing. But so that's what we actually do at Lone Star College, and I'm very proud of being a part of that. Once again, giving back to the community. I love doing it.
Yeah, that's just who you are and what you do. I love that.
Absolutely.
So I'd love to know a little bit more. So you were in the Army for 22 years, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Hmm.
Yeah. So that is a long time in your formative years. You said 18 to 35. And so what was that transition like? I mean, that's how old I am now. And so I can't imagine knowing
Yes.
one thing for that whole time and then transitioning to the civilian world, which is totally different.
Yes, ma'am.
So what was that transition like for you?
At first, very difficult. I'm gonna tell the truth because I was a drill sergeant, and I'm also a non-commissioned officer. My highest rank was a master sergeant, was the E8. So we used to being, I like to say the word lockstep. Things are a certain way. There's little deviance every now and then, but the majority of the system is pretty much the same. And so you have a routine. Um, from the time you started basic training to the time you actually get out, the military is very structured. There's little deviance here and there, but I'm talking about the Army now, and like the Marines. Now, of course, the Air Force is a different animal. Not to knock you all in the and the other branches, but in the military, a lot of things are very lockstep. Okay, so you get up in the morning, you do physical fitness, you get washed up, you have a formation in the morning, you have time to eat, you come back, you report to work by 8 o'clock. You have your work day, and to 12 you stop, you have lunch, you go to mess hall, you go off post, you come back at 1 o'clock, and then you end at 5, 4:30, 5 o'clock, have another formation, and then you're done for the day. And so that's how your life is pretty much every day, all the time. And so you have a routine of what you're going to do, and you're structured. Especially these years, you just know how to do these things. And then when you get out the military, do what you want to do. It's what? Do what you want to do when you want to do it. And so you have to, like, there's no one hollering and screaming, there's no formation, there's no accountability, it gets to a point. Okay, woo-saw. So you first get out, in your first couple of years you're like, party, until you realize everything around you is falling apart. Like, oh, wait a minute. So you have to go back to structure. It depends pretty much on how ingrained you are, because some people do it to a fault where they don't forget they've gotten out, and they still getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're still doing things, and they haven't transitioned. I didn't have that problem of sleeping in. I had no problem staying to bed until 10, 11 o'clock, but once I realized that, okay, I need to get some kind of structure back, I think that's when I went ahead and went in for the reserves. Now, one thing about the military, we call sergeant majors. We have good sergeant majors around, and they go reach back and they kind of like mentor certain people. Um, the motivation God's given me about always trying to excel, I was what they call a fast tracker. So I was making rank pretty quick. I was moving jobs. I was punching tickets, and like talk about drill sergeant. I was also the equal opportunity NCO. I was also the sexual harassment NCO. I was also the chemical NCO. So everything they had to give to get awards and medals and pins, I always pursued it and went after it. All kind of stuff. I did. So I had a lot of jobs to help keep me busy in the military. So as I was growing and accelerating, a sergeant major noticed my enthusiasm. Like I said, when I went to the Drill Sergeant Academy, I wasn't just a drill sergeant. I was selected for the Drill Sergeant Academy to teach. So I'm always trying to excel. Um, he said when I was getting out, I was just kind of like burnt out from the Army stuff, and he said, "Don't just get out, join the reserves." Okay, and so when I got out the military in 1999, I actually joined the reserves. And then during the reserves, it's when I went back into drill sergeant again. I thought my another 5 years as to being a drill sergeant in the reserves, I was able to get my structure back. That makes any sense. So I said, okay. And the way I was taught in the military, you put the lead by example. So I couldn't be crazy helter skelter and try to train and develop other NCOs or non-commissioned officers up privates. So that's what made me kind of get back into the reins of doing things back the military way. Um, Being a disabled vet, they allowed me to go to school and get education, and that's how I got to North College. So like after I got out in '95, I had, I think, 95, 96. In '96, I was like having fun. Then '97, that's when I got focused back on my career and getting people trained up. And I went to school to get my BS in computer science. When you do this, it allows you to, I guess, prioritize what's important. And you're younger, you don't realize what's really important. It's me. It's all about me. And so that's what I started learning, that it was not really about me. It's about things around me. If that makes any sense at all. And so that's how the transition from the military to civilian, it became, okay, what can I do for the community? Before it was what I was doing for my platoon, then it was my squad, then it was, as I was going through my company, my battalion. And when you get out, you don't have that. You don't have nobody. It's just you. And so it's about me. But then when I got back into it and started getting attached to the community, that's where the transition from military to the civilian, it was no longer about me. It became about my neighborhood, my college. And so that gave me something to transition from the military to the civilian, to have like I guess like an ownership thing. And I just thought that's a good revelation. Helped me out with that. That's what it was. Is that when you was in the military, you belong to first you're a platoon, and you're a drill sergeant. You have a buddy. You hook with. You're taking care of your buddy. Then your squad. Then your company. And as you evolve your battalion, you become the brigade. You're the first sergeant. So you're in charge of your company inside of the bigger picture. And when you get out, you don't have that. And yeah, very good. Thank you for that therapy session. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. I mean, we do what we can.
That's what it was. Like, yeah. So you get out and you're like, you have no connection. There's disconnect. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Wow, that's what it was. Yeah. So, and that's the transition part, I guess, for those who are trying to think about. I never really had a revelation of that. That you have a belonging in a group, and when you get out the military, it's gone. It's gone. So you can always reach back, but the reality is you don't belong to that unit anymore. You don't wear that patch. You don't have that, once a drill sergeant, always a drill sergeant, you have the patch. It's just there's so many things that you get cut off from, that you have an identity to in the military and show status. When you walk down every day, you wear your identity on you. Your ranks here, your drill sergeant bed, your airborne, everything. Oh, my doggy's going to get a part of the interview. Hold on. No, boo. I think I'm an emotional dog. Every time I feel emotions, my dog wants on my lap. Yes. All right, so and that's very good. Thank you. I don't know if you're gonna edit that out or not, but that's really awesome. I never thought of that. That's what happens when we leave. It's just all your identity is gone. Now you're civilian. You have nothing. It's nothing. Yeah, like you see, even now I still kind of wear my name on my stuff because I'm used to always having my name on, so people know who I am. And also me. I had a problem. Now I'm learning also how to names. I'm very bad with names because I didn't realize I actually looked at, when I saw somebody, I look at their chest and their name is there. So you have to really store it because everybody's name is on their chest. So you just keep going. Sergeant Smith, Lieutenant Colonel, and so to keep it in your database, you didn't have to. It's just right there in front of you, So now as a civilian, you gotta say, okay, this is Miss Amy. Okay, how you doing, Miss Amy? So you have to monetize, and then who you talking to there. So yeah.
I know. I'm a visual person too, and so I only know people based on their like social media picture and the name on their social media. So like I don't have my last name on social media, so most people don't know my last name, right? Because you just see it.
See it. And it's a visual connect, right? So and it's less brain power you have to really use. It's right there for you, because it's right there, and you use that brain cells for something else, calculating stuff like that. So
it sounds like the military, your experience, 22 years in the Army, has really given you a sense of discipline and a sense of community, knowing where you fit into your community and how to serve your community, right? Because you had that revelation that's what the military had. You had your people, you had your battle buddy, and then you got out and you had nothing. And so you created that, right? And so I really want to know more about, I've heard some stories, like some interviews about women in sports and how hard it is to be a woman in sports. And you mentioned how you were playing basketball and you were able to keep up with the guys, and someone was like, "Ooh, I want to talk. I want to talk to you."
Right.
And so, what obstacles have you faced as a woman in sports, and how have you overcome that?
Well, a very good question. Women in sports is like, because now I have a little more experience, so I can't really say what I was in the beginning, how it was, but now I have a better knowledge of what's happening. Everything is financially driven, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because people like doing things as careers, and it's a sport. It's for social awareness and for health, mental health, things like that. And so things get cut because they don't make money. And that's what I think is unfortunate about. Unless you find somebody as an entrepreneur, or I forgot a person, a philanthropist, they want to give money to that situation. It's not actually making money. They want to support the arts, so they want to support that. And a lot of female sports, that is the problem. And I don't think it has been identified as the problem yet. In a global situation where it's like the people know of it, but they don't want to speak of it because they're talking about Title IX, how everything has to be equal, but the back end is still the same. If it's not producing money, investors don't want to invest into it. So then you saw that with the Olympics, or the NCAA, when no boy girl exposed the situation with the weight room. That's to me that was like commonplace. I'm used to, yeah, that's right, yeah, because the guys are gonna have the latest and greatest, and the women get whatever's left over, or if it's anything at all. And so, and it's not discouraging to make anybody feel bad or less than. Just identify the fact of what it is. So you do it for the love of it. And when you watch women's professional basketball, women's NCAA, the coaches that put, it's truly for the love of the sport. And everybody sees it, knows it, knows it's a purity. It's different than the NBA. It's different than the NCAA, the men's side, because their drive and their goal is different. It's about, oh, who's going to make the NBA? Who's going to make millions of dollars? And so it's the love of the sport on the women's side is truly the driving sport. You see people give their hearts and their souls, and they truly love the sport of basketball. So the competition is always going to be what it's going to be. Now the female program has evolved tremendously, because we have women now dunking. So if you're talking about excitement and having fun, the girls side is now getting better. It's not so much about the brute physical force of basketball. The women's side is more finesse, more strategic. They're the thinking referees, they're the thinking players. Not to say anything bad about the men's side, so that's not to push down the men, but to uplift the women. That if you watch a women's basketball game, there's more chess pieces moving on in that sport, in women's side, even high level high school girls side, because it is not physical, it's strategic. How are you running your plays? How people get in position? How you setting screens? So the women's side of sports is a more, we always say, more of a thinking situation, scenario based plays, more plays to be, not that who's so big and can push through, and it's not physical. Okay. So it's not a big dunks. It's how you finish your layups. It's more strategic. So I personally, as you say, I love basketball. This is my sport. But that's how the difference is. When you're a female, when I was coming up was different. We didn't have what the females now have. So I was always playing with the guys because there was no female leagues in the story. If I wanted to play basketball, I had to play with the men in the morning from 8 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock, and play pickup. Had to sign a list, wait my turn, and when play with the guys. We had a post team, but even a post team would play with the guys to get better, because we didn't have other females to actually play with us. Some posts didn't have a post team, so we didn't have a strong schedule like the men had a strong schedule. So it's always going to be, um, our program is little less than the men's program. And I think hopefully, as we're starting to evolve and more women are participating into the program, hopefully more women have money, can give back to the females, so they can give up. That's the whole thing about supporting, allowing girls to travel. You'll find 1,000 AAU men's, boys, I say boys, AAU boys, um, tournaments and it's hard to find female AAU tournaments. There are a few. You'll see a weekend 4 or 5 men boys tournaments and maybe one girls tournament, if one at all that weekend. And so that's what I think is the challenge we need to have, to create in the environment the opportunity, okay, for girls to play basketball, because that's mostly what it is. Because I say right now, I'll ask you, where can a girl go play basketball? And you'll think, it takes a while to figure out. And then if you go to those locations, do they have a program? And you'll see like 4 or 5 or 6, even 7 boys programs, and maybe 1 or 2 girls programs. And that's the disparity that we having right now. And you look around, I was walking in the neighborhood today, I saw 2 girls shooting at the hoops. I said, all right. So they're there. They just don't have the opportunity. And if they want to do well, they have to be really good so they can play with the boys. I've seen some programs where there's a girl on the boys team.
Yeah. So you didn't have that growing up, right? You had to make your own way. And so most of our community are parents, military connected parents. And so how can we do better for the next generation? As parents, what can we do to create a better environment for our daughters who are going to be joining the military when they grow up, or for our daughters who want to go into playing sports? What advice would you give to our parents, to us as parents?
Absolutely. That's very good. If you're okay, once again, it's up to some females don't want to be athletic. I mean, that's what the girls don't. Not all girls like inspired to be athletic or even to participate in a team sport. From my understanding, most of the introduction sports for girls are soccer. Okay, soccer. How can you find it? Thank God for Google. You just Google the sport and then Google your zip code, and that normally will give you an idea of what organizations or programs are by you. The number one source for many years has been YMCA, because you can go to the YMCA and ask, do they have any sports or anything for the community? Once your child develops a skill set and they get well, they'll get well, good. They're well at what they're doing. I say soccer, running, track. I also started track and field. That's what my first thing was, track, and then was basketball. So that's what you want to get your children into that. Now, posts have, I'm trying to think of what the name they call the gym. We have a gym on every good post has a gym. We all know this. And I'm thinking of the program we have for the kids. They should have a youth program on the post for children. And I can't remember off the top of my head what that is, but I would recommend going to the gym and asking them, do they have any programs? If not, can your child play with the boys? Now, my mom, I'm gonna add another feature to this. My mom really was not happy about me trying to work out with boys or do things with boys, because I'm a female, I'm a girl. So we try to have as many opportunities for girls to be working with girls. But if they have a strong desire and they're good at what they do, working with playing with the boys will be no problem. They'll, if anything, their skill set will develop, because they have to be stronger and faster than the average female to keep up with the guys. So they'll get better for it. And I'm trying to think of some other people I know that had opportunities, but I would say go to the gym of the YMCA or the post gym and ask what kind of program they have for girls. If they don't have any, I'm sure USO, I think it's a USO. They have opportunities for you to create programs. And I found that out when I was doing something else at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And if you give them a suggestion, they'll help put that program onto that post. That's something I didn't know you can do. That's one thing. YouTube. Oh, we love some YouTube as well as Google. If the child inspires to be well at what they do, YouTube has abundance of training opportunities for children to get skill sets to develop their programs. And all this I'm telling you is for free. Now, they have coaches you can Google, and they'll find places for you to get trained, and you pay money. But if you're trying to do it at the low budget side, you Google the sports you want in the zip code, go to your post gym, ask them what programs they have for the children, or go to USO. I think it's USO. Write letters, and they'll and ask them, do they have any programs, or you wish to develop a program, and they'll help you create one and put out the feelers for who else wants to do that. Um, those are the ways to start out. And when you train them, if you're in the military, especially the army anyway, you move from post to post. You can always in advance call ahead to the post you're going to and ask them, do they have facilities for your child, female or boys, for that event, that sport. And that way you can keep connected to the community. Another way of doing it, which I think is also the most awesome way, is you create one. You create a team. You train and you coach and you have the girls from the community come over. Because normally if she plays, she has friends in her school that plays, that want to play. And you can create a summertime program. And once again, YouTube has training that give you drills on how to train kids how to be a basketball, soccer. And so if there's none there, you can create one. And then you'll be the go-to source and all the kids will come to you. Okay, so I said, be careful what you ask for, what God blesses you with. So, and because it's not there. And if it's not there, you can be the one to create it. And then everyone will come to you. So I would just say go to YouTube. Has a phenomenal wealth of knowledge on how to develop programs, organization, nonprofits, things of that nature. And you'd be amazed if, like I said, in religion, if God is in the midst and it's on your spirit to do it, He will anoint it. He will bless it. And it'll flourish in your community. I promise you. I promise you. Especially during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, right. I've always said that if you don't fit into anyone else's niche, you just got to make your own, So I love that advice. Sylvia, well, this has been a true honor to talk to you further and to hear more about your story in the military and how you are still serving your community by being a referee and training other officials, and how your heart is really just to pour into, the kids and the kids in your community and doing high school basketball. And what you had in the military, you've made that for yourself in your refereeing and in your business. So I'm so excited to follow you along in your journey and continue having these conversations with you as I see you go on and doing bigger and better things. You said you're not reaching for the NBA, but you're reaching for something better by pouring back into your community. So I really appreciate you for your time today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm hoping what I had to say can help and inspire others. I really, really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you guys, this was Sylvia's story. We're so grateful for her coming to share her story today about her military service in the Army and how she's inspiring the next generation. And so if you have a story to share, you can share your story of how you are still serving at todaysvfw.org.